activist for the state of Wyoming. I am with 420 Wyoming and Wyoming Women for Legalization of Cannabis and Hemp. First off, naloxone's a great idea for children, for babies in emergency situations. I do have a little bit of education about this. One of the side effects is seizures, hallucinations. So that might be a problem. CBD oil, the reason it works to combat opiate addiction and alcohol addiction is because it adheres to CB1 and CB2 receptors in the brain. It blocks the neural pain pathway. That's why it works so well. It goes into your body and works with an already ECS system, endocannabinoid system that your body has. Your body cannot metabolize the drugs that the doctor has given you. That's why it works so well. The drug no longer works. So it's effective working against the opioid addiction or the alcohol addiction. We highly recommend it. But one of your problems you're going to run into here in the state of Wyoming is it's not accessible. You have to go to Montana or Colorado to access CBD oils. So therein lies your problem. You're going to need hemp production in the state of Wyoming to be able to use this oil effectively, which you have a Farming Act that was enacted in 2015 that allows, under federal regulation, with permits for the growth of hemp. The only place that you can grow hemp right now and utilize the purest form of CBD oil is your reservation. You're already approaching it. Also on your drug addiction abuse, you need to approach drug addiction from a young age. I would recommend maybe meeting with drugfree.org. We'd like to reach across the aisle and help any way we can. Any kind of education, any kind of help we can provide, we are here. We're not just about, let me get rid of the myth, smoking marijuana, because it's not marijuana. This is a medicine and it needs to be treated as such. We don't want abuse of the CBD oil. Although it has no psychoactive property, people out there still believe that this is something that gets you high. It is something that heals the body. It goes in and adheres to the sick cells that are in your body and helps heal the sick cells, and it also protects the healthy cells. With long-term use, it will keep you off of opiates. I am a living, walking, talking person that is proof. I had a doctor overprescribe medication during my series of 6 back surgeries. The girl that was taking care of me died from opioids. The doctor kept pushing these drugs. So not only do you have these street problems and cartel problems, and your meth is cut with heroin, by the way, just so you guys know, you've got doctors overprescribing medication on a daily basis that's killing people. So while you're trying to watch these prescriptions on a street level, which is highly recommended, you need to pull and rein in your doctors that think that prescribing these pills is the best way to attack chronic pain. I am here to tell you it is not. It does decrease your body. It takes down your kidneys, it takes down your brain, it takes down your organs and can cause lupus. So I don't know if that helps you guys at all. Anything we can do, any kind of information that you need, please feel free to contact us. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we would like to accomplish with this. We're not just here to promote hemp and smoking marijuana. And please do not use the term marijuana. It's cannabis. This is a medicine that's been around since before 2000 BC in Egypt. And it is effective. I've never seen anything like it, whether you're treating diabetes, leukemia, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever you're trying to treat, this stuff can work in conjunction with the body system under a doctor's care. Right now you guys have got it legalized for treating epilepsy in minors with a neurologist, 3 neurologists signing off on it. And I don't know if your laws, as Jim Bird said, were set up to make it so hard for everybody to access this, but it's not just effective for epilepsy. This stuff will work. This is a viable option, you guys.
Any questions, Ms. Sparks? Any questions of Ms. Sparks on the phone in the committee? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was going to wait for a little bit because until the marijuana section came up, since the door's been open.
Are we going to talk specifically about opioids? We'll
This-
talk about marijuana in the next section.
This addresses drug use from a parent's standpoint. And I feel like you guys need to hear from a layperson, from a parent who has actually lived this problem in this life. I'm a resident of this county for 43 years. I've been married 43 years to the same guy.
I'm sorry, we didn't, your name, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Tammy Orr. We are a middle-class family. Our kids were in church, surrounded by a strong family structure from day one. They were inculcated with great values. We have a daughter who was a top student, went through school, got her degree. So I say all this to make the point that there is no family in this state or community that's protected from this issue. I hope you'll bear with me. I found out about this meeting about an hour ago. I am pulling some things out from a presentation that I made, or that I wrote up for another time and place. So I'm going to pull some things out from that. Let me state very strongly that pot is a gateway drug. It was a gateway drug for our son at 14 years old or before. Believe me, we did everything in our power. We worked with the schools. We worked with local counselors. We worked with our church. We worked and worked and worked to rescue our son from this problem, and we were not very successful. Let me say that marijuana and the effects going forward are not victimless. You may hear from people today that marijuana is a victimless situation and therefore we should legalize it. Let me just say that those who say that it is a victimless situation, I believe fall into three camps. They either have an economic interest in the drug, they have never lived daily with someone who is abusing or addicted to pot and other drugs, or they themselves are users of this substance. So our son started his drug use with marijuana, and he ended it with marijuana. He smoked it throughout the 18 or years of his addiction, although he did abuse many other drugs along the way. I would like to share some aspects of drug addiction that were part of our daily lives. Although every person walks his or her own personal journey through addiction, there are some definite commonalities. I have spoken to enough addicts and family members to know that that's true. Authority is a problem. The user has a strong aversion to any and all authority in his life. Only when the user can bow to and trust an authority outside of his or herself will the addiction cycle be broken. And our son, who is now 37 years old, struggles with this greatly even today after several years of sobriety. Sound judgment is definitely one aspect that becomes a big problem. This is one of the multitude of higher thinking skills that is severely impaired. Things that seem completely obvious to the sober individual escape the user, such as the need for steady employment, having another job before leaving his current job, avoiding criminal activity, treating others with respect, budgeting money, choosing positive friendships, staying out of other people's drama, and taking concrete steps to help him or herself. The need for validation. Although the user is trashing his or her life on a very daily basis, they demand trust, honor, and even validation for their actions and thought processes. Paranoia. This was a big one that we dealt with continually throughout the marijuana use, but also, of course, with the other drug use that came into play after more hard drugs were introduced into our son's life. Undoubtedly, brain chemistry is altered by the use of intoxicants, and one of the first and most obvious symptoms is paranoia. Abusers believe that the world is lined up against them. The I can't catch a break mentality. This makes it nearly impossible to enjoy any kind of a stable and sustained relationship. And then maturity is a huge problem. Those who work professionally with addiction state that the age at which a person begins chronic drug use is the age at which, without major intervention early on, that person will remain mentally, emotionally, and socially. We can certainly attest to that in our experience. All of the milestones that our son should have accomplished in his 20s were lost to drugs. He has no career, spouse, home, children, very few friends or support network that most people have gained by the age of 37. The user, even when they can gain some of these aspects of life, continue in a state of prolonged adolescence and dysfunction. Though sobriety may be achieved, as is now in our son's case, that which is lost is nearly impossible to regain. These aspects of addiction are only some of the most difficult challenges that we experience. Drug use, abuse, addiction does not happen in a vacuum. It cannot be viewed as a medical versus recreational issue. The brain and its functioning will be affected regardless. This is the whole point of ingesting the drug, to be affected. It may have some upside in what you're hearing now about the pot argument being legalized, but it also has an extremely large downside. The effects are not compartmentalized, but broad-ranging over many parts of the individual's functioning and psyche. One problem that we face that's gotten a little bit better here in Rock Springs is that there was virtually no treatment here. As a matter of fact, I met at one point with some of the city fathers, and they informed me that there was not a drug problem here. Oh my goodness, I was seeing it up close and personal every single day. Not only that, I have to throw in here that my son's probation officer, and this was told to us by our son at present time, he told us that his probation officer was an addict. That's a manipulation by abusers, and so we blew that off until we found out many years later that was the truth. So we have to be very, very careful of who we're putting in charge of our children and their futures. It reminds me of the movie The Body Snatchers. It's out there and it's everywhere, and the people who are involved are working full-time to keep it a secret. That was very devastating for us to find out. But anyway, there was no treatment here. We had to go to Utah for treatment, and our son was twice in an inpatient facility. He was also in the county jail at one point because of some of his actions. As you can see, this is not a victimless crime in any way. So, as you can see, this is not a theoretical problem for us. We have lost a child to intoxicants, including marijuana. We have spoken out and worked toward eradicating this tragedy in our community over the years. We believe that intoxicants of all types destroy families, impact children greatly. My stepfather also was an alcoholic, so I have seen the whole gamut. And they ruin lives created and beloved by God. You know, we have so little brain science, and from what I read, the experts agree on this. We have so little brain science to go on, particularly in the area of marijuana. Possibly because the marijuana lobby has been very strong and very powerful and very good at making sure that we don't have those kinds of studies. But we're beginning to get that scientific information. And that information is telling us some really, really bad things.